Hello everyone! 2 weeks ago Blackmagic Design released a new public beta version of Davinci Resolve, including a all new photo page, so you can edit your photos now in Davinci. Which is great because I can use the tools that are already familiar to me from editing videos and edit photos in the same software. It's all in the free version as well. Right now I'm using Affinity for editing my photos, which is also free, which is great. But I do have to learn 2 different applications for essentially doing the same thing, editing colors of a picture. Today I want to try out this new photo functionality and edit some photos that I took last year actually. My name is Joppe Koops and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want to take a look at a few different editing techniques with a few different photos that I took over 2 days. I've imported all my photos here just as normal as you would do with videos. It's a lot of them, but I'm gonna select all of them and drag them down into what would be the timeline, but is now a photo album. So this just works like in Lightroom, that you can like or dislike any photo. I already went through my photos and selected a few. I have this nice photo of a woodpecker that I wanna try to edit. So I'm gonna mark that as a good take. This bird almost landed in the water, so I'll like this one as well. Of course I just held the shutter, so there are more shots of this. I might like that one better, so I'm gonna mark that one. There are these highland cows in the dunes here. This one looks very majestic. I'm gonna like that one as well. Then I had some photos from the other day. This one it seems almost like black and white, but there is actually a lot of color in there. This is just a raw profile. It also seems kind of dark, but we can recover all of that. So I'm gonna like that as well. And then there was one of a few ducks flying by that I also want to give a like. And then I can filter the photos by clicking the heart button here, and it will filter out only the liked photos so that I know the ones that I want to edit. Okay, let's take a look at this woodpecker first. I don't need to do a whole lot to this picture because it's already sharp and has a nice blurry background and nice colors. I do want to saturate those colors a bit more, and I want to lighten up the bird a bit, and I think it's also a tiny bit too yellowish. So most of the actual color grading I want to do in the color page and not in the photo page. I would use the raw options if there's anything wrong with your shot. But as we can see, everything falls within the scope already. So I will switch over to the color page and I'm gonna set up some nodes. I'll usually do at least 3 nodes. You can use option S to add 2 nodes. And that's because I want to do a color space transform on the first and the last node, and do the edits on the middle node. If I want to add any extra effects, I want to add extra nodes for that. And I want to transform it from the Rec 709 color space to the Davinci White Gamut color space because it's nicer to edit in. But of course we don't want to look at it like this, so I'm gonna copy that color space transform to the last node and swap the transform so it transforms it back into Rec 709. But so I'll start by adding a bit more gain because as we can see we have a lot of room here and I can lighten up this photo quite a bit. I will also add some more color. It doesn't actually need a lot, but I do want that nice bright red of the bird coming through. And as I said, I think it's a bit too yellow, so I'm gonna push the color temperature a bit to the bluer side. So now I wanna isolate the bird to make it a bit brighter than the background. So I'll add a new node with option S again. And I will also add a node with option O to get an inverse matte. So if I select the bird here, it will select the background in the next node. Now there are a couple ways you could select the bird. I'm just gonna use a pen tool and select it myself. You could also use some other matting tool. So I'm just gonna go around and cut this bird out. Just like that. And so now I can make any changes on this node and it will only affect the bird. So I'm gonna take up the gamma just a little bit to make it brighter than the background. But I can also select the next node and make the background a bit darker again to make the bird stand out even more. And maybe I will desaturate the background a tiny bit, and the background can maybe use a little bit more red. And if now we look at the difference between the before and the after, I think it looks a lot better. Now in this next photo of this bird entering the water, it behaves a little bit different when editing. Of course I already tried some things, and this photo doesn't want to be edited very much. It is a little bit underexposed and doesn't have enough contrast, so I'm going to add that here, and I can add a little bit of saturation. But as you can see, if I go too far, I get this weird blue color in the water that doesn't seem to belong there, so I can just add a little bit of saturation. And really whatever you try to do here, it somehow seems to break this picture. So of course this is a lot better than the flat image that it was, but I can't really do a whole lot more here, so that's it for this picture. So as you can see, not all the tools and techniques work the same for every photo. And it's just me trying some different things with all these different photos. You know, most of the time I also don't know what I'm doing really. It's just adding some effects and pulling some sliders and seeing what is happening to these photos and what I can get out of it. So let's look at the next picture and see what I can do with that. Great, next up I want to take a look at this Highland cow. This photo already looks quite good, but I think we can make some improvements. The sun is shining on his fur coat. That looks really nice, and I want to enhance that color a little bit. The grass seems a little bit too green since I took this photo in the autumn. I think it should be a bit more yellow, and I want to make it kind of a dreamy look with this sunshine, so I want to use some glow. So I have the same node set up again. I first want to increase the gain again, and that seems to be a recurring theme here. Just a small interruption here, because the photos being too dark doesn't seem to be an issue with the photos themselves, but with the first beta version. Because in between recording and editing this video, a second beta version came out that seems to have fixed the issue, and the photos look properly exposed now. Okay, back to the photo. And then to make the grass a bit less green and more yellow, I can use the U versus U curve, and I will select a green color in the background and rotate it to make it a bit more yellow-orange. I'll include a bit more of the green tones here. I think that looks a lot better already. Let's see if we can lighten up the cow a little bit more. It's a little bit dark. Okay, and I think we're almost there. Just want to add a glow to add a little bit of a dreamy look. I should add a node for that, and then add the glow on there. And if I increase it a whole lot, you can see the glow here around the cow. Obviously lower the glow a bit. And I want to add a bit of a color filter to make it match the fur of the cow a bit more. So like this color here. And I think that just adds a bit more of a dreamy look and make the cow look even more majestic than it already was. It's a bit of become a bit of a monochrome image with mostly yellow, but I like the look. Okay, so let's take a look at this forest landscape photo next. I've already set up the nodes again. With this photo, I think it's just a little bit too dark here, but this is a raw photo, so the information should be there. And I should just be able to lift up the shadows. Obviously this is too far and I want to dial it back a bit. Now the highlights are a bit blown out, so I'll take those back a bit as well. Something like this looks better. We have a lot more detail here in the shadows. It was a very misty morning, that's why the background is kind of grayish, but there was a sunrise, so there is a bit of yellow in there, and I want to boost that a bit. Of course I can take up the saturation, but it's not quite the correct color. And with this image I want to try a bit of split toning and add a warm cast to the lighter colors for the sunrise, and add then as a complementing color a bit of blue to the shadows. Now there is a split toning effect for this, but that only works in the paid version, so we can do it ourselves. I want to make some more nodes, so I'll use option S and then option O, because I'm gonna do it with a matte I'm gonna go to the qualifier tab here, and to start I'll just select this background color. So I get the matte of just a light background, and on the next node just the dark foreground. I can switch the highlight option for the matte on. For this selection I don't want to select any specific hue, so I'll turn that off. I don't want any specific saturation as well, so I can just use the luminance to select the lighter colors. And then with this, tweak how much of the dark foreground or background you want. So we'll get a little bit of yellow in the ground here as well. So now we have this node for the yellow. I'll turn this off again so we can see what we are doing with the photo. On this node I'll add a little bit of yellow, and actually I'll start with a lot just to get the color right. I want it a bit more orange, and then I'll dial it back down and just see where I want to have it. And on the next node we can add some blue to the shadow parts, and I'll pick the opposite hue here to add to the shadows. Maybe a bit more greenish because there's grass and leaves there. I think this makes it look very nice, and now I can tweak this a bit more, so I maybe want a bit more yellow on the ground there. So I'll just move the slider the tiniest bit, and it will make a difference here on the path here. Just makes it a little bit cooler without making it actually blue. I think that's a very nice way to edit this specific photo. Just added a little bit more detail and the split toning to actually get that sunrise feel. And finally, let's take a look at the two ducks. It's quite a washed out photo, that's because it was very misty that day. So I definitely want to add some contrast, and I can also lighten it up a whole lot. And for this one I thought it would be nice to use one of the built-in film look LUTs that Davinci has. So I'm gonna use a Kodak LUT here. This one looks nice and warm. Of course I'm on the wrong node here. This is the 709 LUT, but this is in the Davinci White Gamut color space, so need an extra node here because I do want to add the LUT in the correct color space. Obviously it's too dark again, so I can come back on this node and lighten it up a whole lot more. And actually now there is all of a sudden a lot of contrast. Of course that's part of that film look, but I don't want to lose any detail here, so I might just bring the contrast down a bit. And we can see that editing with a LUT you can pretty easy get somewhere, and you just have to make some finer adjustments. As this was also a pretty sunny day, I do want to add some fun effect to this with this light rays effect. So I'm gonna add another node for that and add the effect on there. It looks a bit too light now, so I'm gonna darken it back down. I think the sun rays should be coming from around here somewhere, so I'm just gonna move the point to there. It isn't affecting the ducks too much, but it is adding something fun in the background here. Maybe it's just a bit too much. And that's it, a very simple edit to add some more contrast because it was very hazy. Make a simple film look by using one of the built-in LUTs and adding some fun light rays in the background. Great. So again, what I really like about this software for me is that I already know all the tools and effects that are in there from editing videos. And of course it's a free tool that everybody can use. You can also edit your smartphone photos in here with the same tools that they use for movies in Hollywood. Now there are some problems or downsides I have with it, or maybe they're still gonna fix it because this is a public beta version. So one problem I have is with the HDR photos my Fujifilm camera takes. I think it's a format that's only used by Fujifilm, where basically the way you take a HDR photo is by taking photos at multiple exposures and then combining them in software, but the format that a Fujifilm camera makes has all these raw photos in one file, and if I open that in Resolve it just has a really nasty magenta cast on the highlights, and I don't know what's going on here. And as I suspected, this issue was indeed also resolved by the second beta version. For the most part it just works with most file types and color formats and creates some I think nice photos. So I'm definitely going to use this again, and if you want, I think you should also give this a try. If you found this video helpful or inspirational, please give this video a like, and if you want to see more about photography or filmmaking, please subscribe to my channel below. That's it for today. Until next time.